Hey everybody. So something that has been on my mind lately with the impending arrival of baby number 2 is the topic of kids sharing rooms. So we haven't decided yet if we are going to turn our office slash guest bedroom into a bedroom for baby number 2, or if we are going to brave it and have them share rooms, which I've kind of always loved the idea of. But whether you're considering room sharing out of necessity or because you kind of want that close bond between kids that shared a room, there are still some things to consider either way. First of all, although the obvious is true that siblings can disrupt each other's sleep, there also can be benefits, like some kids sleep better with a sibling in their room, especially if they're kind of anxious about sleeping alone in the first place. So it's not always black and white. One situation is better for sleep, for sure. But the first thing that you're going to want to consider when you're considering room sharing is that a kid who is already a good sleeper is going to sleep better room sharing as well. And so what I mean by a good sleeper is a kid who is able to put themselves to sleep independently, a kid who is able to wake up slightly between sleep cycles or due to small noises and things like that and put themselves back to sleep, is going to be a kid who has an easier time sharing a room with a sibling as well. Something to also know is that kids actually sleep pretty heavily. Let me back up there. Kids about 2 and older sleep pretty heavily, especially the first half of the night, and are actually unlikely to be woken up by sounds in the night. So don't worry too much about, having to go in there with the baby early in the night, things like that. These things are things that a lot of kids will sleep through anyway. Along those lines, though, I will say if you're sleep training, move one of the kids out. Let's not ask too much. If you are sleep training either the older one or the younger one, it's a good time to move the one who you're not sleep training into a different location just for that time. Next, I would suggest talking to your older sibling about how you will be the one to respond to the baby if the baby's crying, especially if you have a really good helper who wants to get up and help with the baby or is concerned about the baby crying. You can even talk to them about how you have a monitor and that's how you will be checking in on the baby, so you'll hear the baby crying too. They don't need to come get you, things like that. But if you have a kid who's 2 and a half and able to understand that idea, then that can be really helpful in taking that responsibility off of their shoulders. Another suggestion I have is to have white noise machines for each kid, put them in between each other, and that will drown out some of the sounds that, some kids are noisy sleepers, or if someone wakes up in the night, will make it more likely that the other kid will keep sleeping. And also, it's a really good idea to separate the beds as much as possible, as much as that space allows. So don't try to have 2 cribs right next to each other or a bed in a crib. If you can, put the crib on one side and the toddler's bed on the other side of the room, and just that space will quiet the noise from the other a little bit as well. I would suggest having 2 different bedtimes and separate bedtime routines, both so that you get that one-on-one time with each kid, but then also so that they're not trying to fall asleep for the night in the presence of the other trying to fall asleep for the night and probably being a little bit noisy about doing it. I know my toddler right now loves to talk to himself as he's putting himself to sleep or sing the ABCs really loudly. So if you can have a baby who's not trying to fall asleep to that, that'll probably be in your favor. Also, I would suggest doing naps separately. Kids just don't fall asleep as easily for naps. The sleep drive isn't as high, and they're not sleeping quite as soundly as they are when they're tired in the night. So that might be a trouble area. If you're able to do naps, one in your bedroom, you're not there anyway, maybe in the middle of the day, and the other in the kids' bedroom, that'll probably benefit you as well. And then the last point that I wanted to mention was that it can be a really good idea to use some kind of okay to wake light. And the reason is that unfortunately kids are not sleeping as deeply in those early morning hours. So if one of them, if the older one I should say, gets woken up by the baby and doesn't know what time it is and thinks that it's time to get up because they got woken up, then you might have some really early mornings on your hand. And if you can teach them that the light says it's still time to sleep, and you're going to want to, and it's time to go back to sleep even though you got woken up, or even if they can like look at books or play toys quietly in their bed without waking the baby, then that's going to help you all get a little bit more sleep. This might be a stretch, obviously, and if the older one is always waking up due to the baby waking up or making noises, then you might want to suggest that they come to you instead of waking the baby up. I know, not ideal, but better than waking the baby up and everybody being up that early. So hope these tips are helpful if you're someone that, like me, is considering room sharing with 2 little ones. And I'd love to hear your thoughts on if you've done it or if you try it and how it goes. Thank you.